welcome to the 9th episode of Zehakke Philosophies. Today we are talking about my life, where I've been, how I'm doing, all things epiphanies I've had recently, and mind shifts, and yeah, it's gonna be super all over the place, and that's totally okay. Recently, I've been in this mode of wanting to learn and discover, and I have so many questions in my head right now, so I don't have the answers to everything, but maybe you guys can respond in the Q&A box and let me know what you guys think about some of the things I'm gonna be talking about. But yes, hello, welcome to today's episode. Honestly, I think I'm ready to just go into today's topic if you guys are ready. Yeah? Okay, so number one, guys, I learned recently that, I learned this a fat minute ago, but if you guys are into human design, so basically there's types of people, and some are manifestor generators, and then there's other people who are reflectors, projectors. I'm a projector, and I only know a little bit about this stuff, but I know for sure most people, 70% of the population, are manifestor generators, which these are the people who are go-getters. If they want something, they're gonna go and get it and make it happen. And in America, this is very much the culture here. Work hard and you will succeed. But that's the thing, not everyone works like that. I mean, we're not all the same, right? And recently I finally learned what it meant to be a projector, because I have felt such a pull towards getting rest recently. I feel so exhausted all the time, and there are times where I'm so motivated to go, but I realize now that my motivation actually comes from rest. It's when I spend time not doing shit, I'm doing self-care, I'm laying in bed. That's when all my good epiphanies come, my good ideas, my creative juices start flowing, and then I can go out and do things, but it has to come from rest. I can't force anything, that's just not how I work. And though I knew I was a projector, I actually didn't even know that meant anything. And so I knew I was a projector for human design a year ago, but I didn't really care because that didn't really align at the time, because at the time I was still in that mindset of going and getting, you know what I mean? I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But now that I've learned that I need a lot of rest, and I've learned how rest has really taught me a lot, I went back on my human design just because I was curious. And then it said projector, and I was here wait a minute. And I did the research and I was this aligns. Projectors are literally the people who do the opposite of the culture. They are not the go-getters. They say wait for the invitation, and it doesn't mean they sit back and don't do shit. It's that when they're sitting back and they're resting, that's when naturally all of the creative juices start to flow. And so it's not they're doing nothing. It's just in resting, everything just flows better. And so that's where I'm at. That's how I've been feeling, and now I know. And so I took the past 2 weeks off of YouTube. I didn't film anything. And also I recently did a speech, and so I wanted to take the time to just not go to the gym, not do the things I'm usually doing that feels very, hectic. It just fills up my schedule, you know what I mean? I took a lot of that stuff out, and I was let's go to the basics right now and just focus on the speech and focus on rest. And so I did just that. And obviously in this society, taking rest can be really scary, because you have to really have trust in the universe that you naturally will go back and do whatever it is that you're meant to do. And practicing self-love has really made that so much easier for me, because now I know that I can take a rest from YouTube or whatever, but because this is something that I love to do and I naturally am so inclined to do it, even if I take my rest for as long as I want, it could be a month or two or whatever, I know that because I love it, I'm just gonna go back and do it. And so I wasn't worried. And taking rest also, for some people, because I've healed this part of me, for some people it can make you feel oh my god, I'm a failure, oh my god, I'm gonna slow down and I'm not gonna be able to achieve my goals and blah blah. But I'm just here honestly, there's no timeline. I know what's meant to be mine will be mine when it's supposed to be mine. And so taking rest is not scary anymore, because I trust in my divine timing, and it's not gonna look like yours. Yours is not gonna look like mine. You know what I mean? So here's a new perspective, and maybe this will help you guys. But also, the reason I had to take a rest was because I was definitely feeling out of alignment. Like, I was not grounded, number one, but it's probably because I went to like raves and stuff, and I was also just spending so much time doing other things and whatever. But I definitely just wasn't feeling myself like at my highest best, right? And I realized maybe I did need rest, and I took the rest. And I also knew that even though I took my rest and I wasn't feeling great, I always know that in rest, I come out of it with so many new lessons, and that in itself is amazing. And one of the lessons that I learned was that the reason my routine wasn't working was because actually I went through 2 phases of this idea, okay? So we're gonna talk about my routine. The first thing I learned about my routine was that your routine is probably not serving you, Sandy. Let's go back to the basics, because all I know besides my routine now is the self-care routine. Besides my self-care routine, my grounding routine, I had the routine I do every day, okay? And when I say self-care routine, this is a routine I developed when I became more spiritually awakened back in October. So I'm just talking from October, my spiritual awakening, okay? From October to now, I had 2 routines, self-care and my current routine, okay? And so I always go back to my self-care routine when I'm not feeling as grounded. And so because I wasn't feeling as grounded recently, I went back to my self-care routine. And in my self-care routine, it's always spending time at home, journaling, and taking time for myself. I literally just put my phone on Do Not Disturb like every single day. And I just take time to talk to myself, talk to the universe, and just take walks outside and just get extremely in touch with my heart and my soul. Because a lot of people, when they're not feeling good, it's very like, if they're living from, this ego mind, it's very normal for them to look outside themselves for answers, whether it be, oh, like, I'm feeling like shit because I don't have enough money. I feel like shit because this is not good in my life. I need to go and get a better job. I need to go and get my degree. I need to work harder on my homework. Or I need to make sure my relationship is better because it's making me unhappy or whatever. People who are living from that place always look outside themselves. But something I've really learned on this spiritual journey is that the answers will always be within you. And if you love yourself, you give yourself the validation in all the ways. You don't need to go outside of yourself to be happy, and nothing outside of you is determining your self-worth, if that makes sense. And so I looked within and I did that self-care stuff, and I have had so many epiphanies, okay, y'all? So basically, I have my self-care routine, and I will call my current routine, like, because I'm not doing it anymore, let's just say that routine is called the work routine, okay? So I have my self-care routine and my work routine. With my work routine, I realized it wasn't serving me anymore because I am always growing and developing and up-leveling. My routine is not leveled up enough for me. New level, new devil. And so I realized that I need to do new things in my routine and up-level it in other ways that can stimulate my mind to continue to grow, because my old routine is a little stagnant. And so that epiphany really helped me, even though it's nothing crazy. Like, it has helped me tremendously to remember that you don't have to sit here and be unhappy. Like, you can do something about it. And so the first thing I did, self-care. Second thing I did was, look, okay, we are always growing and developing. Are you doing that? And I said, yes, I am. Okay. Then create a routine that stimulates that new version of you that is always up-leveling every single day. So yeah, I have decided I need to have new hobbies or try something else. I have a few things in mind, but I used to do yoga all the time, and I took a little break, and now I realize it's boring. And maybe it's because I'm an Aries and there's so many different things, but I get bored really easily. That's one thing about me. And so I've decided that today I'm gonna go and do some outdoor yoga. I've actually been wanting to do this for a while, but this is gonna be like a group class. I think this is gonna be so fun. I'm going by myself because nobody I know likes to do yoga, so I'm just gonna do it by myself. And one thing about me is I don't wait on anyone to do something I love. And hopefully this is a good reminder for you guys, okay? Oh my gosh, I feel like I've just learned so many things. But another thing I've learned is that one thing about me is I do not like to force anything, right? And so in recent days, I think I got that a little confused with other stuff, but basically I was like, I'm not gonna say I want this or that, because if I say I want it, it's not gonna happen. And I was like feeling this push and pull in my mind where I'm like, okay, then how do I like do anything, because I feel like I could do a little more. Like, I was just really confused. And I guess this can happen, but overall what I'm trying to say is you can always desire things, and you can always say that you want whatever if it comes from your higher self. You can have goals, you can have desires, like you truly can want things as long as it is an aligned desire. The way you become aligned is really just getting intuitive, getting into your soul and your heart. And so here's my reminder to you guys to make sure that all of your decisions are from your higher self, the best version of you. If you have to justify something, it's most likely not your higher self. And when I say higher self, I mean that version of you that is living so authentically. It doesn't mean monies and riches and mansion, like the typical, things that our ego self desires and the things that society say we should desire. I don't mean those things. I mean, what does your heart want to do? If you want to live out the rest of your life at a farm with your animals, then so be it. That's your higher self's desire. For what I know now is that my higher self loves authenticity and loves to express herself. So right now, like, my self-expression always comes through creating content and putting it out online for everyone to see. And if it impacts people, then that warms my heart. But also just expressing myself makes me really happy. As you guys know, I did a speech recently, and that totally tapped into that. And I was, oh my God, I'll talk about that again later. But having that speech was such a beautiful experience, and my higher self, she was so happy, y'all. And so make sure that you always are choosing things from your higher self. If you're feeling like you're doing things because society says you should, then maybe you should take some time away from society to get inward, okay? Like, it's so crazy that I can say all these things, and I'm sure you guys have heard all of it before, but how many of you guys are actually doing these things? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the stuff I say is so typical. Like, it's not new, but the thing is, are you doing it? Hopefully, I don't know. It's okay if you don't. I'm sorry. I don't mean to feel like I'm attacking you guys. But yeah, like, sometimes your ego will be like, oh, I want this job because I want to make this amount of money. That way that I can make more money than this person. That is not your higher self wanting that, okay? That is like your ego wanting that. And you're basically trying to make a certain amount of money to impress other people. Therefore, you need other people's validation to feel whole. Therefore, you have to look back at childhood, learn how to feel whole without the external things determining your value. So, I mean, I think looking inward is literally just the key to it all. The key to being happy is learning how to love yourself without the external things. So many things running through my mind today. It's probably because I took a walk today outside, but okay, let's talk about my speech. So number one, before I did my speech, I was so excited because I told myself when I had my spiritual awakening, I wanted to be brave and I wanted to try things that were new and get outside of my typical bubble. And I did exactly just that. A year ago, I said, I want to be like Jen M and I want to do a speech in front of people. 1 year later, I'm literally preparing for a speech, manifested it. Here I am. I just gave my speech a few days ago and I can't believe I did that. Before I gave my speech and I was practicing, I was really nervous, of course. I feel like giving a speech is such a powerful thing to do. And so stepping into your power can be really scary. And so, before I did my speech, I was nervous because I was afraid to step into my power. When there's something that you really want to do, it's not gonna feel the easiest. You're gonna have to put in that extra effort for you to even do the thing. And it's called resistance. You're always gonna have resistance when you want something because your lower self, ego self, that other side of you that wants to be comfortable is uncomfortable as fuck. Doesn't want to be out and doing new things. Of course not. But I said fuck you to my resistance and I said, I see you, scaredy cat, but I choose to live from my higher self. And I did that. I gave my speech. Funny enough, the day of, I was not that nervous. And then I got nervous like 5 minutes before my speech. And then I went up there, and I think I was pretty nervous the first 5 minutes, but nervous, not like stuttering nervous, but like nervous, like I'm kind of like stiff. And then after a while, I got really into it and I felt a lot better. And I feel really good about my speech because, like, you know, I told myself I don't have to be perfect about this, but I do want to be brave about it. And I'm gonna be proud no matter what, because no matter what, I did the scary thing. I stepped outside my comfort zone, and there's growth in it all. You can do something, success or fail, doesn't matter, because at the end of that, there's opportunity for growth, and that is all that matters. And so I did it. I was brave, I was courageous. And afterwards, I was on such a high. Like, I was so proud of myself and so happy. And it definitely set something in my heart where I was here like, you know, I want to help more people. And in case you guys are wondering, my speech was about 45 minutes in front of maybe like 30 people. And it was to a youth group in my community here in St. Paul, Minnesota. So the girlies were only like 14 around there. They were all like under 18. It was like such a wholesome little thing, and it was so rewarding because afterwards I got to meet with all of them. We did a cute little meet and greet, and I got to talk to them, and it's so funny because they all knew who I was, and I was like, oh my god. And like, I remember being 14. I remember being that young, and like, I was so impressionable at the time. And so I know that if somebody would have did the speech I did, I think that it would have impacted me like so much. And so I wanted to do that for those who were willing to take that opportunity. It was the most rewarding to even just hear the moms give me feedback. Like, the moms were so sweet. They were like, wow, like, you impacted so many lives today. Like, you said things that I've heard in my whole lifetime, yet the way you said it just hit different in me today. And I was like, wow, like, that is the sweetest thing I've ever heard. And especially them like saying that I had charisma, they loved my energy. It made me feel very seen, and I felt so much gratitude in that moment because though the thing was scary, I felt such a reward afterwards. Like, I'm like, wow, like, I truly am capable of so much. And so I ask you today, my question for you to take home is, if you were given the opportunity to make an impact, would you do it? Would you step into your power? And if you said yes, I hope you know that the fact that you would shows that you already can. And I hope that you're living a life that actually is impacting people today because you can in this lifetime. And I hope that you take that path of doing the thing that you want to do, even though it may not be conventional. Another thing that I've learned is that gratitude truly can come from anything and everywhere. I think that in the past few months, I got really used to gratitude coming from achieving and achievements. I don't know why I'm talking so weird, but when my routine kind of sucked and it just wasn't hitting for me the past few weeks, I realized that like feeling gratitude was a little difficult. I didn't really understand why, and I felt almost numb, but not like super numb or anything. I knew I wasn't feeling the gratitude and love for life the way I felt it once before. And so after thinking about it, I realized that I was actually suppressing emotions, and I didn't recognize it until I was watching something. I forgot what it was. Oh my god, I remember now. Okay, I was listening to a meditation on YouTube, and it was basically like a meditation to help discover yourself again, because I did feel a little bit like I needed to secure my solar plexus chakra, which is your emotional, your identity chakra, and that is my core chakra that I like have to focus on in order to be balanced in this lifetime. In my human design, okay? When I'm telling you guys human design, you guys can find yours on Google. Just search human design chart, and you just put in your birthday and stuff, and it tells you so much about yourself. I swear by this thing. But I felt my solar plexus chakra was very imbalanced recently, and especially because I was taking a lot of number 2s and eating things that were giving me a tummy ache. Okay, I just knew my body tells me shit when it's imbalanced, and I hear it, and I feel like I'm very intuitive in that way. Because I knew that my identity was a little bit shaken, I decided to really take the time to ground. And one of the things I did was a meditation, and in this meditation it was to find myself again. And for some reason I found myself remembering memories that were so beautiful that I had kept in the back of my brain, and it actually made me so emotional because I feel like those are also memories that I've suppressed for a reason. And maybe it's because I've created this false story in my head where you shouldn't think about the past because you don't want to live in the past, because I've associated dwelling in the past as depression and something that, you know, people who are depressed do. But I realize now that you can still think about the past and it doesn't make you have negative habits, if that makes sense. And so I thought about these past memories that I thought I shouldn't think about because I also felt guilty for thinking about them. And I realized that in the sadness that I felt in those memories, there was also so much gratitude. I think it's also because these are memories that I correlate with my depression. And so these are things that I think I blindly didn't realize were also blessings at the time. And so I'm here like, oh, at this time of my life, I was so depressed, but I also forget that I was able to achieve and live so many beautiful memories. I look back and I'm here like, wow, like, this is why I'm alive. Like, this is why my soul decided to come and have this human experience. It's because I wanted to experience love and friendship, genuine connection, just things with people, even though these things are no longer around, these people, these friendships, these experiences, now that they've passed, like, I don't know, guys. Just thinking about it gives me so much gratitude, and I'm really grateful that I was able to choose and live in this human experience and experience those things. Like, holy fucking shit, the gratitude I feel from that. I think that I've reached a place where I realize that everything that happens is really an opportunity to grow. Now that I've done so much healing, I think about my past a lot, and actually I don't, but I should more. But right now I am, and I've learned that there's just so much to be grateful for. And so, yeah, I don't know. I was like teary-eyed a bit ago because like that's how much gratitude I feel. Like, I feel very lucky to be alive, and I feel very lucky to have experienced such beautiful things. What's so crazy is I'm probably gonna look back to today in like 3 years and still feel gratitude for my moment right now. I don't know, what a beautiful life, what a grateful feeling I'm feeling, and the train is going by right now. What else have I learned recently? Well, you know, I really want to do a full episode straight up about my spiritual journey, just the entire thing, because I have so much to say. Like, holy fucking shit, I don't even know where to begin with that stuff, and I definitely will do an episode now that I think about it. But I remember just when I was like really depressed, I was fainting a lot during that time, which is so crazy because I think my body knew how imbalanced it was. Something I learned recently is that typically, like, when a person is depressed, like spiritually, it's because they're not living in their authenticity. It's because they're not living the life that they want to live, and so they're depressed. I don't know, I look towards shamanism now when it comes to learning about this stuff, because I realize now that shamanism is not what I grew up thinking it was, which is crazy. I grew up in the Hmong culture, and so I can go about this more in the next episode or whatever, but I grew up thinking that shamanism was the scary thing where you talk to ghosts and blah blah, but now I realize shamanism is basically like holistic health. It's basically mind, body, soul. It's just whenever people think of shamanism, the first thing that comes to their mind is fear. I don't know why. It's probably because shamanism is such a spiritual practice that when we say shamanism, when you think of spirit, when you think of spirituality, it's going to reflect what you see in spirituality. And if you're afraid of spirituality, you're most likely afraid of yourself. It's kind of just how it works to me. When I think of spirituality, I think that means self. Evolution. And if you're afraid of spirituality, it's most likely because you're afraid to face yourself. And it's just like this full circle thing. And so when I think people are afraid of shamanism, I feel like it's because they're afraid to face themselves, and they're just afraid in general because they don't know what spirituality truly is. They think it is one thing, but in reality it's self-love, it's self-evolution. Not everyone gets that. So I've been really indulging myself in that stuff, and I learned that when you're imbalanced energetically, mind, body, soul, anything is imbalanced, you will feel that shit, whether it comes out through emotional traumas or emotional outbursts. Anything emotional, that's one way it can come out. The imbalance can also come out in other ways, like physical illnesses, whether that be getting sick or weird health problems that came out of nowhere. And for me, it was my fainting episodes. I used to faint so much. Like, I swear I fainted like 3 times in 1 year before, and that's very irregular because I'm healthy, okay guys? There was nothing wrong with me physically or internally or whatever, but I was fainting a lot. Very weird. I realized now that it's because my body was telling me, like, girl, you're so imbalanced right now. My spirit was not being fostered at the time, nor was I feeding my mind any good information. Okay, y'all, I was not learning new things, nor was I reading, listening to podcasts that were helping me or anything. I was not feeding my mind anything. And at the time, I didn't really understand health the way I do now. And so diet and physical activities, I didn't really do much of physical activities at the time. And so now that I think about it, I'm here like, damn, I was really imbalanced. Like, oh my gosh, like I almost died fainting, y'all. I went to the club and I fainted. And then like a few minutes later, I fainted again. And when I woke up, I was in the arms of somebody and literally everybody was looking at me. My skirt was up and I was like, oh my fucking God, I almost died. So yeah, I had a near-death experience before. And also the other fainting experience was when I was in the shower and then I fainted, hit my head, woke up and couldn't breathe. And yeah, I fainted many times, but now I know it's because I didn't take care of my health. And so if you guys are having like health issues, I definitely say that you guys should definitely look into holistic health and learning how to balance out your mind, body, soul, and see what that does for you. Who knows? Because I do believe that like going to the doctors and the hospital and going for like things like that can be helpful as well. And so it kind of just depends. But for me, I went to the doctors and they couldn't help me. I've seen so many freaking doctors and they could not help me for shit. You know, I believe that holistic health has really helped me, and becoming very balanced in all the ways that I can has helped me in so many freaking ways I can't even explain. Anyways, guys, that is my little episode, my little rant. I am so grateful for you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys learned something in this episode. I know this episode was probably kind of quick, but I love you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a lovely rest of your day. This is your reminder to do something that you guys love today. And that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.